Hi, welcome to this short video that will cover how to build more interactive product tours with Chameleon. My name is Pulkit, I'm one of the co-founders of Chameleon, and as a brief recap, Chameleon allows you to welcome, guide, and engage users with product tours. You can use this for user onboarding, effective for new users, feature launches, when you want to improve discovery of features to existing customers, ongoing education so that you can have a curriculum of education that you provide your users over their life cycle so that as they engage with your product, they're able to learn more deeper functionality. For improving support, such as confusing workflows or questions that are asked repeatedly, you can also provide more interactive guidance rather than help documentation when users send chat messages or support tickets by responding with a product tour. You can also use this for upselling or cross-selling by highlighting functionality available on different plans or promoting other products that you have to existing users, and also for other ad hoc notifications. It's important to think about Chameleon across these use cases, and this may involve working with different teams across your organization. The functionality we'll talk about today is triggers and user actions. The goal is to help users understand and learn your interface. That's beyond just seeing how it operates, but actually learning by doing. And that's how people learn. Some tools that just show off the product by having many steps which allow users to click next only can be ineffective because users go through those very quickly without actually interacting with the underlying product. Therefore, we try to solve this goal by adding functionality that allows you to wait for a user to act before they see the next step. This means that you can make your tours much more interactive and allow users to learn alongside what you're teaching them. Now, there's two components of this. There's a match condition, which allows a step to be configured on which page it should be seen on, and a user action condition, which is the actual action that a user should take. So a match condition is a URL, for example, where you can set the URL for a step to show on. It will then show on all URLs that match that. You can, in addition, show it based on URL and element on page. This provides a secondary condition for the match to occur, so a specific element on that page. So this is helpful in cases where you have a single application where the URL does not change, but the content of the pages does change. So in that instance, if you do want the step to only show when certain content is visible on the screen, you can use the URL and element match condition. In this, you would go ahead and enter the URL, and also you'd enter a specific element that should be present, and only when those conditions are met would the step show. This is different to positioning the step on the screen, which can be done separately. The new aspect of this is the user action. This is, in addition to the match, what should a user do for the step to be shown? The default condition is immediately, so whenever the match is met, then the step would show. But in addition to that, there are three other options: on click, on hover, and after delay. So with on click and on hover, you can configure whether a user should click or hover over a specific element available on your application, or whether they should click or hover over a hotspot that Chameleon can add. That's a pulsing dot that makes it evident where the user should click or hover, or a custom image or icon that you can add that a user should click or hover. So you have those additional configuration options, and then you have after delay. So for example, if a user is on the page after some time, they're confused, or if it's their first experience of the page, you may not immediately want to launch them into a tour, you may want to do it after a delay. So that's just a simple time variable that you can set for any step. So these are the conditions on which a step should show. What we'll do now is do a live demo to see how some of these can be in action and how to build this. So in this example, I'll turn preview mode on and we'll see what this would look like. So here's an example of a step with a pulsing hotspot, this red dot in the corner. Now, this indicates to a user that maybe they should hover or click on something. So if they click on this, they get a step which shows them more information. Aha, manage user permissions is available under this menu. That's something they may not have discovered previously. So in that way, you can subtly highlight a feature and then provide more information whenever a user is ready to understand and engage. Now let's turn preview off and see how this was actually built. So this was built as part of the trigger. There are different components to building a step. trigger is one of those components, and I showed you screenshots of this earlier. So this sets which URL this page should show on, this step should show on, and the second thing is what user action should take place. I've selected on-click here instead of one of the other options, and I've selected hotspot. And this hotspot I can adjust by placing it elsewhere, adjusting the positioning, the color, etc. So I've required a click on this hotspot for this step to show. And that's what happens. I turn preview on, I click this, and the step shows. Now let's look at another example. So I'll head over to a different step in a different part of this application. So in this part of the application, there's another type of step that will show when I click on a specific element. So if I click this, this step shows. And actually I can go ahead and actually fill out a survey which is linked to this button. And that's a different kind of trigger, and I'll just go ahead and turn preview off and show you how this works. So in this I have on click but an existing element. So instead of using a hotspot, I've used an existing element and I've selected this specific element so that when a user clicks this, then the next step shows. So these are just two examples. As I mentioned, you can use a custom icon instead of an existing element or hotspot, and you can use hover states instead. If I did on hover, whenever the mouse hovered over this element, the step would show. So heading back into our presentation, let's look at some example cases where this can be used. So one example is to subtly highlight features to increase discovery. Now we saw that with the hotspot a little bit, that a user may not discover certain features and you want to bring that to their attention without disrupting their workflow. So you could use a hover state or a click state with a hotspot or a custom icon or even a hover on an element to give a bit more information, and you can use that to improve their motivation and tell them what's available for them. You can educate users after discovering the feature. So this is great if they found something themselves and you want to show them a more advanced use case or best practices. You could show them a tour on how to interact, or you can show them a video or something. Another example is to congratulate users on completing key actions. Now this is really helpful in improving their motivation. We like to be rewarded when we do something successfully, and by giving users simple congratulations after completing key actions, they'll be more motivated to continue using your product and continue discovering and learning new things. It's a real quick way to help improve engagement. You can get instant feedback on new features. So as soon as somebody engages with a feature, you can request a survey or start a conversation with them to learn in context what they think when they've just used it. A really cool example is using fake door tests. This is a way to do prototyping and product research, and this can be used when you're trying to deliberate between two features or how to present something or deciding whether you even want to introduce some new functionality. The way you would do this is by uploading a custom icon as a trigger, and that custom icon would take the shape of the potential feature that you want to test out. So this could be a button, or it could be a little in-product ad about some new functionality. When a user then goes to engage in that functionality by clicking or hovering over it, you can ask them further questions or give them more information about what's coming up. So it's a really quick way to do real live in-product prototyping with your existing users without actually having to build anything. Of course, you can target your tour to only go to certain users if it wanted to be some super users or people that are part of your beta group. And similarly, you can upsell users to gated features. So if you had existing features that were available but not to that user, you could, as they try to engage with them, you could show them more information about which plan they would need to be on and help them convert their plan. Or if those features aren't accessible to people of a lower plan, you can actually, again, in the same way as a fake door test, upload a custom image or icon with an announcement about that feature or with an entryway into that feature. And as users engaged with that, you could actually show them more information and tell them to upgrade. So these are just some examples of ways to use triggers. I'm sure you can come up with many more. That's a quick overview of how to use triggers to make your product tours much more interactive, and by doing that, helping your users actually learn your product. There's more information available on our help center at help.trychameleon.com. We also have a lot of resources, including a blog post specifically covering this topic on our blog. And of course, you can email us for help at any time. We would love to help you improve your user engagement, so please do reach out at help@trychameleon.com. Okay, that's it for me. Thanks.